attendance. Do we have any, anybody's got any conflicts? Councillor O'Neill.
I, Councillor Cameron O'Neill, declare that I have received conflict of interest as defined by the Local Government Act 2009, sections 175D and E for agenda item C3, with the subject heading Rating Scenarios. The conflict has arisen because I am chair of the Country University's Centre Maranoa, and we have received correspondence that Santos and Origin have approved the foundation sponsorship of the new centre. I have determined this personal interest is not of sufficient significance and will lead me to making a decision on the matter that is contrary to the public interest. I will best perform my responsibilities of serving the overall public interests of the whole of the council area by participating in the discussion and voting on the matter. However, I acknowledge that the remaining councillors must now determine, pursuant to section 175E4 of the Local Government Act 2009, A, whether I have a real conflict of interest in this matter or a perceived conflict of interest in this matter, and B, if so, whether 1, I must leave the meeting while this matter is discussed or voted on, or 2, I may participate in the meeting in relation to the matter, including voting on the matter.
Okay, do we have anyone that wants to move on that?
I move that Councillor O'Neill has a perceived conflict of interest in the matter, and notwithstanding the conflict, Councillor O'Neill may participate in the matter, discuss and vote upon it.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Taylor. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 8-0, I should say. Okay, any other conflicts? Righto. Well, does anyone wish to move into close?
I'll move to go into committee.
Do we have a seconder?
Oh, before we do, Mr Mayor, I should share with you up front that I have to leave the meeting at about 11:45 and I'll be out until about 1:30. So in the event that the meeting's still going at 1:30, I'll phone in.
Okay, and you'll ring us to...
Yes, I will, yeah.
Okay, noted. Okay, so we have a movement to go into close. We have a seconder. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
Mr Mayor.
So, councillors, in regards to LC2, what we're going to do is break it up in A, B, C, and D will be everything, or the last one will be everything. I'll help for a bit of, we'd like to exclude, we will do that. The rest will be the last one. Okay, Councillor Hancock, when you're ready,
Thank you,
or,
I'll give you a moment.
Sure. Okay, Councillor Hancock.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to declare a MPI. I, Councillor Joanne Hancock, declare that I have a material personal interest as defined by the Local Government Act 2009, Section 17B, for agenda item LC2, with the subject heading Draft Revised 2020 to 21 Operational Business Usual Budget Compared Against Specific Rate Modelling Scenario. The particulars of the interest are on line 49 only. So I'm just requesting, Mr Mayor, that we split the draft project proposals 2020-21 to allow me to be involved in the discussion and vote on all except line 49 in this instance for this MPI. The name of the person or entity who stands to gain a benefit or suffer a loss, either directly or indirectly, depending on the outcome of the consideration of the matter at the meeting, is Peter and Karen Hancock. The nature of my relationship to the person or entity is they are business partners, and describe how the person or other entity stands to gain a benefit or suffer a loss, either directly or indirectly, depending on the outcome of Council's consideration of this matter, is by the project proposed on their road that their property resides on.
Okay, so we can make that LC2A, which will be dealing with line item 49. Do you have any other conflicts?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, just in finishing off, in accordance with section 175C 2B of the Local Government Act 2009, I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on with line 49.
Yeah, LCA, which will be line 49.
LCA, line 49.
LC2A.
2A. Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I, Councillor Joanne Hancock, declare that I have a perceived conflict of interest as defined by the Local Government Act 2009, section 175D and E for the agenda item LC2, with the subject heading Draft Revised 2020-21 Operation and Business as Usual Budget Compared Against Specific Rate Modelling Scenarios. Line 68. The personal interest arises because of my relationship with the Surat Post News Proprietary Limited. The nature of my relationship with this entity is my husband Graham Hancock and my parents Paul and Rachel Parapasini are business partners, and the nature of the other person's interest in the matter is Surat Post News is their business. I have determined that this personal interest is not sufficient. Sorry, Mr Mayor, I'm going to explain to the councillors that line 68, the reason I've determined that this personal interest is not sufficient of significance is that it is the project that is put forward was on the same road as Surat Post News. It is nowhere near in the vicinity of Surat Post News. So I've determined that this personal interest is not of sufficient significance that it will lead me to making a decision on the matter that is contrary to the public interest. I will best perform my responsibility of serving the overall public interest of the whole of the council area by participating in the discussion and voting on the matter. However, I acknowledge that the remaining councillors must now determine, pursuant to section 175E4 of the local council area, by participating in the discussion and voting on the matter. However, I acknowledge that the remaining councillors must now determine, pursuant to section 175E4 of the Local Government Act 2009, A, whether I have a real conflict of interest in this matter or a perceived conflict of interest in this matter, and B, if so, whether 1, I must leave the meeting while this matter is discussed and voted on, or 2, I may participate in the meeting in relation to the matter, including by voting on the matter.
Okay, do we have a mover?
Mayor, I'll move that Councillor Joanne Hancock has a perceived conflict of interest in the matter, and accordingly, and notwithstanding the conflict, Councillor Hancock may participate in the matter discussed and vote upon it.
We have a seconder, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 9080. Okay, any other conflicts? Councillor Ladbrook.
I, Councillor Ladbrook, declare that I have a material interest as defined in the Local Government Act 2009, section 175B, for agenda item LC2. The draft revised 2020-21 operational business as usual budget compared against the Pacific rate modelling scenarios with the Roma Turf Club on lines 121 and 139 in accordance with section 175C 2D, the Local Government Act 2009. I will leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other conflicts, councillors? Okay, councillors also, so LC2A will be item line 49 when we decide it. LC2B will be line 121 and 139. And C will be the rest of the items in the draft projects proposal 2020-2021, excluding carryovers from 2019-20. Okay, do we have someone to go back into closed?
Just check something with you.
Sure.
So, line 49.
49. And then
Is
A, and B is line 121.
line 68.
Sorry, what are the lines for Councillor Ladbroke?
So, Councillor Hancock had a second one. So
Yeah, but that's a perceived conflict of interest,
And the council voted that I'm
so that's why I wasn't within that.
Yeah.
split.
1, 2.
perfect. Thank you for that. So we'll just fix.
Yeah, yours is there.
So what are your numbers?
There.
121 and 139.
Yeah, for B and C will be the rest of the project.
Thanks very much, Councillor.
Thank you. Okay, do we have someone to move into closed? Councillor McMullen, do we have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill, all those in favour? Councillor Burke, are you in favour?
Sorry,
Yeah, 9-0. Okay, item C1. Development infrastructure charges COVID-19 stimulus concession policy.
Oh, bother phone.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I move that the draft development infrastructure charges COVID-19 stimulus concessions policy and amendments be included in consideration in the next revision of the draft 2020-21 budget documents.
So that was to be included for consideration. Yeah, you just said that, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? Certainly believe, I'll just speak on this, I do believe this will be, if it's adopted, will be a major change for one of the pillars of economic driver in the Maranoa, and I'll look forward to progressing this further if it's supported. Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. C2, rates and charges, rebate and concessions policy incorporating water concessions for sporting groups. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move, excuse me, that the committee, 1, receive and note the information, 2, include an additional category for sports club - community organisations on privately owned land, assessment 1402945, with a water usage concession capped at 30,000 kilolitres, and 3, recommend that the draft rates and charges, rebate and concessions policy inform the next stage of the 2020-21 budget preparations.
Yeah, Councillor McMullen, did you want to sort of, on that point too, just have per year or?
Yeah, not half yearly, per year.
Do you want to make
Cap
for a period of time?
per annum?
You say per year, I think.
Per annum?
Per annum?
Per annum.
Is the seconder happy with that?
Haven't had a second.
Haven't had a seconder? Councillor Ladbroke?
Yep.
Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? I'll speak to it. This has been an ongoing issue for quite some time, and I look forward to, if this is supported, moving forward in a positive way. Okay, if nothing else, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. C3, rating scenarios. We have a mover. I move that I move the committee receive and note the information. We have a seconder. Councillor Hancock, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. I move that LC1 lay on the table till the end of the meeting. To the end of the meeting. All those in favour?
Just a question, Mr Mayor. I don't think we can do LC2 until we done LC1.
Otherwise we...
No, but we can do a couple of the others. Yeah.
So we might do.
Well, I'm happy to do LC1 and LC2. Is that what you were suggesting?
I don't think we can do what. I think they should be in order.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll move that to lay them on table till later in the meeting. All those in favour?
Yes.
So are we moving LC2 to land?
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, what was the vote?
The vote was 9-0, and I move on LC2 that we lay this on the table till later in the meeting. All those in favour?
Yes.
Okay. LC3, lease agreement, Greater Artesian Spa Management Agreement. Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
That the committee include additional funds in the next draft of the 2020-21 budget.
We have a seconder. Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. LC4, gas tariffs and incentives. I'd like to move that council receive and note the report, recommend the industrial gas tariff of over 15,000 MJs at 0.15 or 1.5 cents. Be included in the next draft of the 2020-21 budget. Recommend the next draft of the 2020-21 budget to reflect the subsidisation, and 4, that the committee request for a report back to an upcoming council meeting to receive further information around options available to deliver this incentive. Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbroke. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
I just have a statement, Mr Mayor, if
Sure,
that's okay.
please speak.
Just would like to ask that, if part of that report, I think we need to be looking at our economic development incentive plan as a holistic view, not just in little parcels, and I recognise that this would be one section of it, but we've also done some other work previously to this and within the budget meetings, and so I'd like to actually see that there is that we bring all that together to develop an economic development incentive plan, so that we have something to go out to the community with, both near and far.
Okay, thank you. And I imagine when we get this back, I know you've spoken about it before, so we can keep connecting the dots, and then especially I believe a really big part of the plan is adopted is promoting.
That's exactly what we need. There's no sense it's just doing all these like individually. We need to pull this together and have a plan and promote it.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. LC5, Mount Hutton Retirement Village, Pinaroo Incorporated.
Sorry, just with that last one, sorry Mr Mayor, I just want to double check and look what we learned yesterday. I'm just unsure, are we going against an officer's recommendation or are we... Did we come to an agreement?
I think the officer said he put on that motion.
Pretty much.
Against the officer's recommendation.
So I'm happy to give a reason, and obviously other people can as well. Creating economic development in the region.
So where are we putting this in the minutes? Are we just putting a statement? It's not in the resolution as per our training yesterday.
It will appear below
Okay.
a statement of reasons. Below the resolution.
So if you can type that in there, please.
Yep.
And then does any other councillors wish to say anything?
It's called statement of reason.
And it's for all of the majority to have input into why that was resolved. Sorry, Brittany, that's not the.
Oh, that's not what I'm putting in. Okay.
I thought that, but I didn't like to say.
Okay, thanks.
So what I'd like to say is to create current and further economic development for the region.
And so by reducing the rate, I suppose, what we've got the rate in, what do we call it, the purchase?
The tariff.
The tariff, by reducing the tariff, sorry,
The industrial.
the gas tariff, that's for industrial gas tariff.
And in the beginning there, it's future, not further. Yeah.
And are we doing that for the region by reducing industrial gas tariff for commercial?
Well, high volume users, that's what they are.
High volume?
In the report, they're all in the, sorry?
Just remember that we're bringing.
A report back.
Maybe you should say, maybe take that bit out and just say, well, and it is to encourage local business, because you've got to be local to use it. Enhance the local business.
You and local business. You.
I think that'd be enough, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That'd be enough.
And it's not just news.
New and local.
New and local.
Existing.
Or existing, yeah.
Any other comments, councillors?
That sums it up.
Okay, moving on to LC5, Mount Hutton Retirement Village, Pinaroo Incorporated, request for additional financial assistance. Do we have a mover? Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move that the committee, number one, approve a one-off payment to Pinaroo Roma Inc. to assist with the operations of the Mount Hutton Retirement Village. And number two, to allocate $250,000 excluding GST.
45.
Sorry,
45.
Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. To allocate, number two, to allocate $45,000 external, excluding GST in the 2020-2021 budget to provide for this one-off payment to Pinaroo Inc.
Can I just make a suggestion? Could we change that to recommend? Because we're
In number one, rather than approve, to recommend?
yes.
That's fine.
Oh, we're doing that for number two as well.
Village, just singular village. And allocate. Allocation.
But rather than recommend, aren't we pushing it to the next stage? So how do we normally say that?
That's the second point.
How do we normally say that?
You could go in the next draft of the whole.
Do you want me to read that one again?
And it will have to be number two, recommend an allocation of.
Okay. Do you want to just read that again?
Happy to read it again. I'd like to move that the committee, number one, recommend a one-off payment to Pinaroo Roma Inc. to assist with the operations of the Mount Hutton Retirement Village. Number two, recommend an allocation of $45,000 excluding GST in the next draft of the 2020-2021 budget to provide for this one-off payment to Pinaroo Inc.
Could one or two be combined, because it is quite repetitive. Just have two.
It's up to the mover. What would the mover like?
I'm happy to have it become one. Just have one motion.
Provide this one off. Sorry, Brenda.
That back.
Well, then we don't need that last statement because you've already got it at the beginning of the
I was
sentence.
just saying, if I could offer a suggestion, leave it as you've got it, Brittany. To provide this one-off payment to Pinaroo Inc. To assist with the operations of the Mount Hutton Retirement Village, and then you can remove all of the beginning bit. So just pick up to assist with the operations of the Mount Hutton Retirement Village. Up from there, put that on the end. On the end.
On the end.
And then you can remove all of that preliminary bit, And then bring that up to the first line, so there's no numbers.
Okay.
Is that your intent, Councillor Guthrie, consistent with?
I'm thinking it's worded better than I've tried the last two instances, so I'm happy to read it again. Third time, very simply, it's third time lucky. Okay, I would like to move that the committee recommend an allocation of $45,000 excluding GST in the next draft of the 2020-21 budget to provide for a one-off payment to Pinaroo Inc. to assist with the operations of the Mount Hutton Retirement Village.
We have a second, Councillor Taylor. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
I'd just like to say that the Mount Hutton Retirement Village plays a very, very important part in the community and in turn for senior citizens and providing them with options that they may not otherwise have been able to access.
And I'd just like to say I agree, it's a multi-million-dollar facility, and I think it's very important we support partners on the ground delivering services, and hopefully all the stakeholders can work together to come with a great outcome for the region. Does anyone else wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Okay, I'm just going to adjourn the meeting to wait for the information. LC1, rating scenarios to incorporate reset general rates to align with consumer price index. I would like to move that council recommend that scenario, start again. I'd like to, number one, that the committee receive and note the information presented. Number two, recommend the rating scenario 1 updated be included in the next draft of the 2020-21 budget and drafting resolutions. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Edwards seconds the motion. Do we have any opposition? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll speak first. I believe that this scenario is in the current interest and future interest of the local government area. This will be part of the plan that I would like to see enacted in the Maranoa to create economic development and see that as a region we have positive economic growth in each area of the Maranoa. And getting the budget right is an important part of the scenario, and this will put council in good stead for the future, I believe, in making sure that we can have a region that grows from the smallest community to the largest community. And I believe we have the ability to be able to do that, and then as we move through the rest of the year, look at other initiatives to support this budget. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move against the motion because the scenario 1 updated means the residential goes down by 25%, categories 1 and 4, and the commercial and industrial caravan parks go down 65%, and the oil and gas goes up by too much. And I'm really sorry, I really can't back this one. I could have lived with the rate freeze, which was option 7. I think it was 7. Scenario 2, sorry. Or I could have gone with option 7, which was that plus the work camps going up. But decreasing to the extent that it does is not the way to go. And as much as I would like to be able to give the people a big break, I don't think it's smart business. My option that I wanted was option 8, which is a 1.88 increase with the CPI and 30% to the non-rural industrial. So I really can't back scenario updated.
Okay, now would someone like to speak for the motion?
I'd like to. I just believe scenario 1 updated provides the ability to create economic development. I think maintain a level of service within the community of the Maranoa. It also provides for better roads, responsible service, and promotes operating locally, and also will provide some stimulus to the economy.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to speak against the motion?
Yes.
Councillor Hancock.
I'm very concerned about the impact of scenario 1 update will have on the future of the Maranoa. By decreasing the residential rates by 25%, commercial industry by 65%, it will take many, many years for council to be able to make that back up. And I just am very concerned of the legacy that will leave for our region and on future councils. I think it will force future councils to have to make very hard decisions on rate rises, which will have incredibly negative impacts on our ratepayers. Whilst I believe that a true rate freeze would certainly assist the region this year, and so therefore I would have been supportive of scenario 7 or scenario 2. I can't support scenario 1 updated because I truly believe that this is a short-term gain but a very long-term pain for our entire region.
Okay, would anyone like to speak for the motion? Would anyone like to speak at all?
Yes, I'll speak.
Against, I should say, or at all. Please go ahead, Councillor.
Councillors, rightfully this budget process has been onerous. The need to ensure all of us as councillors are to be fully informed to the outcomes that our community deserves and needs must be considered. But the desires and the needs must be for the long term, not the short term. The impact the scenario moved by the Mayor will provide a sugar hit to the general rate base, but it will have long-term financial impacts on our business houses and residents, and more broadly, our region. I see this as setting future councils an arduous task to deliver the services our community needs to not only survive, but to prosper. Council, as you know, we have workshopped many rating scenarios to assist the meeting of individual and group commitments. And there is a scenario that I support that would meet many individual councillors and the collective unity Maranoa commitment of a rate freeze. I cannot support this scenario given the impact it is going to have long term. By reducing the industrial and commercial by 65%, they'll love it now, but they won't long term. By reducing the residential by 25%, the ratepayers will love it now, but they won't long term. And I'm fearful as what this means for generations to come. Long after we're not sitting in the chamber, the impact that a decision like this today is going to have on the future decision makers of our council and what they may need to do in increasing rates to industrial and commercial and residential to ensure that we are delivering the services that make up why we live where we do. Local government's role is delivering the services to ensure that we've got a place to live. That costs. It costs the rate base. It costs the support of the Commonwealth and state governments to help us to be able to deliver those services. I do not see by reducing industrial, commercial and residential and increasing the oil and gas sectors considerably this year will have a long-term benefit for our community. I just cannot see it. I truly believe there is a more appropriate scenario that will best address the current environment and will have positive long-term impacts for our community.
Okay, righto. So does anyone else wish to speak before I sum up? Okay, I'd just like to sum up and say totally understand and hear everyone's point of view. I believe that, in fact, I have been advised that this scenario is a very strong scenario. In relation to the reductions, they're based on things that have happened in the past, and today is the day that I believe we can equalise and bring things back to create economic development and we're also making decisions based on the impact and land use, and they're the hard decisions you have to make as being in council. And I believe that since I've been in council, I've watched the community shrink, and I do not believe that is acceptable. I believe we need to do everything we can to create economic growth, and then we need to work on what we do as an organisation down the track to be more efficient and improve operations of council so we don't require what we've required in the past. So this is an opportunity to put the community first. Also, I have done an enormous amount of consultation on these sorts of scenarios, and I am 100% sure that the community, the vast majority of the community, is very supportive of this one updated budget scenario. So on that note, we will go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against?
Against.
6-3 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on.
Mr Mayor, for the benefit of councillor on the phone, will you?
Oh, see, yes, sorry, 6-3. Did you want to know the division, Councillor O'Neill?
No, I think that I can, given the councillors that spoke, I can do my maths.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on, we'll just need a statement of reason, because that is against a officer's recommendation.
A summary of what you said.
Okay, so I'm happy to kick off the ball here, and that this is in the current and future interest of the local government area. And that this is a budget that encourages local business and economic development. And do any other councillors have anything to add?
Mr Mayor, I don't think it's against the officer's recommendation anyway, because they've left dot point 2 out for us to fill in.
No, the officer's recommendation is exactly what was on the board, except it was scenario 9 being included, whereas we've changed that to scenario 1. So we have voted against an officer's recommendation.
Do any other councillors have anything to add? Okay, we'll move on. LC2, draft revised 2020-2021 operational business as usual budget compared against specific rate scenarios. We've done that one, haven't we?
Page 11.
We haven't done it.
So, Mr Mayor, I think this is the one we're separating again.
Oh, that's right, yep. Okay, so let's do the first, we're going to split this, so we will deal with LC2A. Thank you. And just noting, Councillor Hancock is leaving the room. Okay, so I'm going to, so we're dealing with LC2A. Do we have a mover? Yes, correct.
I could do that.
Please go ahead.
Do you want me to read everything that's on there? Or?
I think so, yeah.
I move that the committee 1 receive and note information presented.
Sorry, something's happening to the computer. It keeps dropping out.
When do you got to Councillor.
Nothing's working.
Do you want me to help you?
Thank you, help.
It's a joke.
Okay.
There it is. Excellent.
Just the thought of George trying to help.
That'll save me.
Councillor Abbott, do you can assist?
LC2.
LC2.
Sorry, everyone. Okay.
And maybe to make it a little bit bigger, for us to read, please.
On the screen over
And we
here.
go on the screen,
Yeah, I saw that drop out.
That's
Get rid of the ears.
Not doing scenario 9 though. I'm only doing number 49, aren't I?
Yeah, 49, line the projects.
Yeah.
Be all right.
So receive and note the information presented and then recommend the draft of the budget statement of income and expense 2021 be based on scenario 1A, 1 updated. No, number 49.
This line
Yeah,
49 in the.
we don't need the rest of it, do
No.
we? No, so we could just go to 49, put that in there. That's what we're
This is
splitting.
from the proposed project.
Sorry, Councillor Taylor, did you just move?
I was trying to move that we accept number 49.
Line 49.
Okay, recommend that, line item 49 from the project proposals can be included in the next draft.
Yeah, that's the go.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We'll have
So
to
just
do.
recommend that the draft budget statement of income and expense 2021, line 49 from the project proposals be included in the next draft of the 2021 budget. Is that all I need?
Yeah, that's it.
Don't need the rubber.
No.
Right, we have a seconder? Yep.
I thought we were just doing number 2. Sorry, did you move one as well?
Receive and note the information.
Yeah.
When
Thanks for taking that out.
2A.
LC2A.
You're doing 2. Yeah, it's doing 2A.
Yeah. You
You
don't
only need
I need number 2.
number 2.
Okay.
So take that out.
Yeah, but we don't see the rating scenario bit.
Yeah.
That is a separate issue.
Yeah.
So
I didn't read that out.
okay, could we just, focus on the line 49 part?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all.
that's good.
If that's
Okay.
Yeah.
LC2A.
LC2.
LC2A.
Yeah.
So we're getting rid of this bit here. Is that correct?
Line 49 is the big thing we're moving.
Yeah.
That the committee recommend line 49 from the project proposals be included in the next draft of the 2021 budget.
That's good.
That's not.
Perfect. Get on the roll after this. Okay, we have a seconder, Councillor McMullen.
Are you going?
Anyone wish to speak? Councillor O'Neill, you've heard all of that?
Yes, I have. I can see it as well.
Oh, you can, good. Okay, righto, go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0.
Hang on.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
Yeah.
She's right?
Yeah.
Now George is.
Just delete that sentence.
Yeah, I'll get rid of it.
Okay, now we're moving on to LC 2B, correct?
No, useful voting.
Do we have a mover on?
George Ray.
So that's right, Councillor Ladbroke is leaving the room.
What numbers is this?
121, 131, 130.
121.
121 and 139.
30.
So, but you could use the rest of the wording. Could that just go down a little bit, Brittany, please? Oh, sorry, the last wording, sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
I'll go to just lines.
121,
121 and 139.
130.
Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that LC 2B, that the committee recommend lines 121 and 139 from the project proposals be included in the next draft of the 2020-21 budget.
We have a second, Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Okay, now.
George can come back
The
now.
rest.
Yes, correct. Now we'll do C, which is the rest of the report. And we'll see 2C.
Okay. 2 seconds.
Okay, LC2C, which is the rest of the report. Councillors, do we have a mover?
Hang on, sorry.
Sure. So we need to get rid of 2 and have a slimmed down version.
Wouldn't it be the same, you just change the number?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have?
And sorry, could I make the suggestion, the third one recommends that all other projects as listed be included?
Yeah, that's a good idea. One updated.
Be included.
Be included.
Okay, I'd like to move that the committee receive and note the information presented. 2, recommend the draft budget statement of income and expenditure 2020-2021 based on rating scenario 1 updated be included in the next draft of the 2020-2021 budget. And 3, recommend that all other projects listed to be included in the 2020-2021 draft budget be included, I should say, listed. I'll read 3 again. Recommend that all other projects listed be included in the 2020-2021 draft budget. We have a seconder, Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? All those against?
Against.
7-2, if I can call for a division. Okay, any further business, councillors? Well, at 3:29, I'll close the meeting and thank you for your attendance, councillors.